Uganda is such a beautiful country, full of a lot of wonderful beauty and also scandals. But most importantly, we have lessons to learn from each of those scandals. That's why we call it the Pearl of Africa. We have many channels in Uganda. We have NTV, we have NBS, we have Agatali Konfufu. But this is a brand new channel in Uganda, which is called Legal News Daily. In this edition of Legal News Daily, I'm your host, Terry Kahuma, and I'm going to discuss a very pertinent issue that happens on a daily basis. You might have lent money to your best friend, you might have lent money to a total stranger, or that person might have had your car or logbook. All in all, the person who you gave your item, your money, your property ends up dying. Now, many of you don't know how to proceed to get your item from that person. In this edition of Legal News Daily, we have Counsel Terry Kahuma, who is going to discuss for us how to sue a dead person, because I felt it right that we host Counsel Terry Kahuma, who is going to discuss how to sue a dead person and how to recover your item, your property, or your money. So in this edition of Legal News Daily, let's head on to Counsel Terry Kahuma's chambers and he discusses for us how to sue a dead person. So welcome to Legal News Daily. Welcome everyone to Legal News Daily. My name is Counsel Terry Kahuma, and I have been given the privilege by our host on Legal News Daily, Terry Kahuma, to be able to explain to you what or how to sue a dead person. Now, first and foremost, we must know that we can actually not sue a dead person. The fact that someone has died, then that person cannot be exhumed from their grave and then possibly be put on the stand to be able to sue them because they have no life. However, the only way you can sue a dead person is by suing their administrator of their estate. Now, many of you may have heard what administrator of an estate is. An administrator of an estate is someone who takes over what you would have done with your property, or if you died without leaving a will behind. Now, many of you have heard about what a will is. You've heard about a will in different videos. You've heard about a will probably on YouTube, on TikTok. You've heard about wills, fellow lawyers, and general people who are educated. But Simply Legal is here to simplify the law for you creatively. Now, a will is basically a legal document where someone expressly states their life and their estate and how they would want their property, their bank accounts, their money, how they would want their property and money to be governed. So a will is just basically a document under which one divides his or her estate, including money, including bank accounts, including property. So generally in law, we call that having an estate. Now, that is the ideal situation. I'm going to explain to you two types of situations where one dies while leaving a will behind and when one dies without leaving a will behind. Now, when someone dies while leaving a will behind, that one is very simple. The will is then given to his or her lawyer, the person who has died, and that person is able to govern the estate according to his or her wishes. So a will, if this document of mine is a will, then my lawyer is going to read it out to my children, to my parents if they're still alive, to my spouse, and then my property will be governed properly according to my wishes that I stipulated here in the will. Then we also have when someone dies intestate. Now, in the beginning of this show on Legal News Daily, I had our news anchor Terry Kahuma describing what happens when you've lent someone money and they have died without paying back your money, or this person had your property and then they died and you didn't know where it was. Now, this takes us back to when someone dies without leaving a will behind. You will then have to sue their administrator of their estate. We call this dying intestate. Since you cannot, I'll give an example. Since you cannot sue Tom, then you're going to have to sue Tom's administrator or the person who is governing his estate. Now, for someone to get letters of administration, it is not something that is very simple. You have to actually apply for it. It's something that you have to actually get before that person being able to recover their money from the dead person's estate. So I want you to just get this very clearly. You cannot sue a dead person, but in actual sense, you can sue his estate. You can sue what he left behind so that you can recover your money behind. I'll give an example of Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson died and there were a number of lawsuits that were against him, especially concerning sexual harassment. Even just this year, we had the two backstage dancers who he used to have suing him for sexual harassment and for defiling them when they were still young. So they cannot sue Michael Jackson because Michael Jackson is long dead. But what they can do is they can be able to sue Michael Jackson's estate, which is the MJ estate or the Neverland estate in the United States. So if they're suing for sexual harassment, they will sue Michael Jackson's current estate for the amount that the court would have awarded against Michael Jackson if he was alive. So if they're suing for, let's say, $12 million US, then they will have to sue Michael Jackson's estate, what he left behind, his property, his bank accounts, his record labels. They'll have to recover the money from all of that. So that is how you sue a dead person. That is how you sue. If, let's say, you lent Tom 12 billion and you're trying to recover it, and Tom died before paying you back or paying all of it back, then you're going to have to sue Tom's estate. What you can do, number one, you can find out whether anyone in Tom's family was able to get letters of administration. You can find out whether indeed there's someone governing his estate, maybe an heir, or you can find out whether Tom actually left a will behind. Now, you can be able to sue whatever business or property which forms part of his estate. You can also do what is called attaching. Now, in law, we have what's called a garnishi. We have what's called a garnishi proceeding. Now, this garnishi proceeding means that if at all you cannot find any of Tom's assets that can be able to recover his land, then you can be able to apply for a garnishi order through your lawyer. Your lawyer can be able to apply for a garnishi order, and your lawyer is able to attach any of Tom's, let's say, bank accounts, or let's say you can attach his land. You can get his land title and attach his land. Then you can attach any form of property, maybe his cars, and then you can auction them for sale to recover your money. So if you lend Tom 2 billion, you can sell like 4 of his properties, either from his administrative estate or from his will if he left a will behind. Or if he did not leave a will behind, you can carry out a search to find out which properties Tom owned, so that you can be able to sell his properties via an auction. Then you can be able to recover your money. So that shows us that you can actually get your money back from someone who was died. So in theory, you can actually sue someone from beyond the grave, meaning even if they are dead, you can still sue what they worked for. That amounts to their estate, their bank accounts, their land, anything that was worth them being auctioned. Now, it's very important for you to note that from this video that do not enter business with anyone without properly getting a sale agreement done or without getting a contract done with that person. If any business you do with anyone is just an oral contract, still oral contracts are enforceable in law, but it is going to be very difficult for you to prove that you actually lent this person money. In Uganda, we just lend people money without any contract being done. But if you had an enforceable contract and you find that this person that you lent money died, let's say 300 million, and Tom died with your 300 million, if you have your loan agreement with him, then if you start to attach his properties, if you start to attach whatever he owned, let's say land or cars or bank accounts, you can actually present your loan agreement, and then the judge can actually award you a garnishi order, and then through your lawyer they can be able to garnish any of the properties. Garnishi, like I said, means attaching any of the properties that the deceased owned, selling them, and then you can be able to recover your money back. So this only applies to the money that you owe, the money that person owed to you. So I wanted to explain that to you. So basically the recap is that, number one, you can actually sue a dead person. You cannot sue them literally, but you can actually sue them through a garnishi procedure. First of all, like I said, let's just do a quick recap before we finish the video. You need to carry out your due diligence, carry out research, and find out, did this person leave a will behind, number one. If they left a will behind, then you can know which properties went to certain beneficiaries. And then you can be able to file an application for recovery of money or damages. If this person perhaps, let's say, you lent this person 100 million. I'll still give an example of Tom. If you lent Tom 100 million or 50 million, and Tom died without paying you back, let's say he paid only 20 million and he's left with 80 million, find out whether Tom left a will behind. Find out which properties went to which beneficiaries. Go and approach any of these beneficiaries and tell them that, by the way, your deceased father had my money and he did not pay it back. Also, discuss with them in a form of arbitration or mediation. If they do not want to agree with what you say, then you can actually file a formal application in court for recovery of your monies. If at all these people are still reluctant to pay your money back, then you can still, through your lawyer, discuss with them, apply for what is called a garnishi order. That garnishi order basically means that you're going to attach any of the properties that the deceased left behind. Being that there was a will left behind, there's going to be evidence of property that he left behind. There will either be bank accounts, they're either going to be land, and there'll also be proof of land titles. There's going to be maybe cars. You can attach logbooks or anything. By the way, you can also attach, let's say, the deceased company assets also to recover your money back. That's when there was a will left behind. Even if there was no will left behind, if the late died intestate, then still you can apply for garnishi order, first carry out a search and find out where the late's properties are and attach those properties. Even if they hid their properties, there will be there'll be something to show that they own something, maybe land. If it's matrimonial land, according to the Land Amendment Act of Uganda, you cannot attach matrimonial property, because if that person has a spouse, then that person has spousal privilege, and you cannot sell without the spousal consent. Now, you can still attach any of their, let's say, land that they left behind. You can put it up for auction, and then you can actually recover your money back. Let's say the 80 million that Tom was owing to you. This was just a rough example. So I wanted to explain to you how to sue a dead person. This is something very important because in Uganda, many of us do not know the law, and it's unfortunate that this keeps us, our country, in the same place that we left it, or in the same place that we were born in it. So thank you for everyone for listening to me. I remain yours truly, Counsel Terry Kahuma. Thank you everyone for hosting me on Legal News Daily. I really love watching this show, and I love Terry Kahuma being the news anchor on this channel. I also want to keep imploring you to keep learning about the law. Always use these phones to be able to enrich yourself on my YouTube channel and different social media platforms. Always seek the law, because the law is always here to help you. For those who are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and most importantly, follow all these videos so that you can learn legal information and share them with all of your colleagues. I remain yours truly, Counsel Terry Kahuma, and I'll see you next time on this edition of Legal News Daily. Until next time, bye.